active service members have access to the TSP or the Thrift savings plan. Is that something that's available as you enlist?
Yeah, so that's one of the first things they talk about. When you go to boot camp, they go through a whole finance class and they talk to you about thrift savings plan. And you can actually elect, there how much you want to put into a thrift savings plan.
As much as you can.
As much as you can should be the answer, but you have to figure you're 13 weeks of boot camp. They're taking a kid and molding them into a man.
Breaking you down a little bit.
They're breaking you down. So the last thing you're worried about is investing for your future. You're just trying to make it to the next meal at that point. And luckily, I was young in my career. I had a great mentor, big brother, and still one of my best friends in the world talk to me about those things. And so I understood the importance of thrift savings plan. And, I didn't know what a 401k is. I didn't know. He said, hey, it's similar to a 401k. And
what's a 401k?
Well, it's a 401k. I'm just trying to buy my next 12 pack. I'm not thinking about investing.
Well, that kind of, I'll get off topic for a minute, but why our high schools aren't teaching that is beyond me. Because that should be one of the very basic things is how to control your finances once you're out there in the real world. If you decide to go to college, you need to learn more about it. If you decide to go to the military, you need to know it.
Absolutely. And in the military, they do a great job of teaching you those things, and they do a great job of nurturing. And if you're lucky, you get a great leader that is passionate about those things and the whole the personal development, not just the professional development, but the personal development and preparedness for life outside of the military. And not many military members know what the options are. Well, heck, when I get out of the military with my thrift savings plan, do I just let it ride and let it sit? And, if I reach the age of 72, I got to start paying RMDs. Or what is an RMD? Do I annuitize? Or do I start drawing it at 59 and a half? Or, for some special jobs, police, firefighters, EMTs, there's some special jobs where they'll let you draw early, at 50 years old. A lot of people don't know those things. Or I think most importantly, what is an IRA? How do I transfer my thrift savings plan to an IRA that can be more beneficial? And I know you're, a resident expert on things like that. So I'd really like to hear your input on that.
Well, of course, there are some benefits to leaving the money in the TSP, especially if you're going to go into one of the special jobs that you talked about, firefighter, police officer, those types of things, because it'll allow you to have access to those funds at an earlier age. Of course, if you go into an IRA, you're going to be stuck at that 59 and a half age. And what I'm really talking about there, Chad, is that if you got an IRA, you try to take money out of that IRA for any reason other than a few special things prior to 59 and a half, you're going to be hit not only with taxes on that money, but you're also going to be hit with a 10% penalty.
Sure.
And so if an individual thinks that there's any chance that they may need to access that money and they're in one of those special professions prior to 59 and a half, they might want to think about leaving that money in. If they are not going to go into one of those special professions, obviously the TSP has what I'll call quasi-index funds. They try to mirror the equity index. They try to mirror the bond index. They've got their fixed income. They've got their international index and those types of things. But outside of the TSP, there's a whole world of investing options where you can hire a professional advisor that can help you hopefully get a better return over time. One of the things that, if you're early out of the military and you're in a young career and your earnings aren't that high, take whatever you put into that TSP, pull it out, convert it to a Roth. Did you have the Roth option available on your TSP whenever you were in?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and that would be my biggest suggestion is that anybody that's in the military, active duty, should be piling every single dollar that they put in should be going into the Roth option of the TSP, because that's probably going to be the lowest earnings that you'll have for the rest of your life. If you can do the things that you said, Chad, get a good education, come out, find a good career. You got that money in there and it's going to grow tax-free until you decide to start pulling the money out. And then you have to be 59 and a half to take it out of the Roth as well. But then all the income that you get in retirement is totally tax free. And it'd be like you taking home a paycheck and no taxes come out of it. I mean, how awesome would that be?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I think it's also important to know that even if the whole TSP investment is Roth and the taxes are all paid up front, if you are going to transfer it to an IRA, there may still be some tax implications. So I highly suggest anybody that does consider doing those, talk to a professional advisor to make sure that you're doing it the best way for reduced any type of reduced future taxes or anything, because it can very easily be messed up trying to do it solo. I'm a prime example of that. I didn't mess up, but it is very easy to kind of go astray and work it out the wrong way.
Well, our rules around those types of plans, the TSPs, the IRAs, the 401ks, the 403bs, and the list goes on and on of all the different types of plans are out there. They're very, very stringent and they're super complex. I believe that the number of pages in the tax code that are dedicated just to those types of plans is in the thousands of pages. And as you know, I spend multiple days every year in a very intense study group studying just that code section, and it's ever changing. And to your point, there is at every conference that I go to, there is probably half of one day that is dedicated to people that have messed up and then they've tried to get the IRS to reverse what happened. And so they have to go for a private letter ruling, which by the way costs $10,000 to get a private letter ruling. And they got to spend months in court for the IRS and everything else to try to plead their case. I didn't know. And most of the time, the IRS comes back and they're like, look, the code is very clear here. So the fact that you didn't know is not an adequate excuse.
Absolutely.
Because you made a choice. The code's clear. You should have read it.
Yeah, and there's so much red tape and restrictions, and I mean, in the IRS.
But I don't know how many people have actually tried to read the tax code.
I tried, and I got a good nap out of it.
It's like
it's tough.
You're reading a different language.
It's tough. It's absolutely tough. Yeah, and I think that's more the reason to don't be afraid to ask for help with those things, whether it's looking online and finding some type of outreach, or reaching out to an advisor that is a professional at things like that.
Starting your route to retirement.